Well, no doubt, social media has connected people in all corners of the world, and that's certainly true for the foodie community. One rising star is food writer Adeena Sussman, whose work explores the intersection of Jewish, Israeli, and culinary cultures. She recently visited Northeast Ohio for the very first time and met up with 3 News contributor Doug Trattner for a taste of Cleveland.
I think the idea of unplugging and spend time talking eye to eye is kind of like a lost art at this point.
Adeena Sussman has a deep love of food culture.
I like to sort of have an active cooking situation going on and bring people into the process.
The best-selling cookbook author has been making the waves in the food world the last few years. First, gaining notoriety as the co-author of Chrissy Teigan's cookbooks. Now, she has built quite a following for her own bestsellers and her captivating social media presence.
Sweet, spicy, and salty Tongaloo corn.
The California-raised, Tel Aviv-based Sussman recently visited Cleveland for the first time for an event hosted by the Jewish Federation. And I had a chance to introduce her to one of our local institutions.
You can smell the history when you walk in.
Yeah, one of the oldest Jewish bakeries and delis in the region, one of my favorite places.
It feels like home.
Like me, you started as a ghostwriter and co-author of cookbooks.
I did.
But at some point you said, you know what, I've got my own story to tell. How and when did you kind of make the jump from co-author to author?
Sababa, my first book, which is kind of about how an immigrant to Israel sort of sees the food through the lens of an insider-outsider. I was really used to assuming someone else's culinary voice and personality, and to sort of stand on my own 2 feet and tell my own story was definitely like a different experience.
Sussman's second cookbook, Shabbat, Recipes and Rituals from My Table to Yours, was released last year and was an instant New York Times bestseller.
It takes a lot of these kind of traditions that you grew up with and turns them into a book filled with beautiful and approachable recipes.
Shabbat has lessons for everybody. It's really about having a special experience with people. It can also be an opportunity to, hear stories from, your family pillars. Like, you get a dish on the table and people have a story around it.
Well, you look around and see these pictures, like you said, Davis Bakery has been around for 85 years. My grandmother shopped there, right? And my great-grandmother shopped there. And they brought home pastries that we enjoyed as grandchildren that you could still eat today.
I love that, and that brings up another good point. A lot of times one of the best secrets for having a great home meal is knowing what to buy, buying great desserts.
So naturally, we had to sample some of the treats that make this place such a classic.
I can sense that we're getting close to some legendary items.
Right. You might be familiar with coconut bars if you live throughout the country. They all originated here. And then these look like giant arugula. But
they do.
These are Russian tea biscuits,
okay.
Also largely unique to here. Maybe we can snack on some pickles.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Cheers. Pickle cheers.
Perfect. Snap.
Are you a seeded rye person or a non-seeded?
Seeded. I have standards. Oh my God, the texture is amazing. Good salt, good crust.
Your chocolate or your vanilla?
I'm both. Wow. All right, should we try this?
Yeah. Russian tea biscuit.
The dough, it's so crumbly and flaky.
Even though these things all kind of started locally, there were a couple bakeries doing them, but now, there's really only one.
Well, thank you for sharing it all with me.
Yeah, well, thank you for having an ash with me.
I really enjoyed it, and I hope to have one with you in Tel Aviv sometime.
I'm so hungry right now. If you'd like to check out Davis Bakery for yourself, there are locations in Warrensville Heights as well as in Woodmere.